Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, I'm sure that you have heard me mention the Secret Sister Circle, which is my group coaching program for Christian wives of alcoholics. Today, I wanted to let you know that there have actually been quite a few updates and new things added to the SSC since the last time you probably checked it out. So one of the things I wanted to make sure you knew about was now we have in there what's called targeted roadmaps. These roadmaps are basically a super fast line to get you the answers that you need and the help that you need for a lot of really difficult situations that we come up against. So if you are feeling super overwhelmed or immobilized by your circumstances, you need clear direction and you need it now. You don't have time to sift through a lot of information. So these are focused, easy to follow guides that walk you step by step through some of the most difficult situations that you face. So no guessing, no searching, just straightforward guidance that helps you get some answers and breathe easier a lot more quickly. Now, of course, you also do have access when you join the SSC to the entire SSC library, which contains dozens of different lessons and tools and worksheets and all types of things to help you navigate pretty much any situation that you could come up against. But I did want to make sure that you knew that there are new targeted roadmaps available for you as well. So a few of the ones that are ready in there right now cover things like boundaries, communicating with your husband, reducing the chaos in your home. There's one about your husband's addiction. There's one about your husband's recovery. There's one about navigating the future. That can be a really tough one for us, right? There's one about feeling triggered, pulling yourself out of a spiral. There's more coming as well. So these are going to be a place that you can go when you need clear guidance really fast to get you through what you're going through in the moment. So if you have not yet, or even if you have before, but have not within the last couple of weeks, I would like for you to go check out the Secret Sister Circle page on my website. So just go to marriedtoaddiction.com. You will see a drop down at the top that says programs, and you'll just click on Secret Sisters Coaching from there. I hope you decide to join us there. Hello, and welcome in to episode 108 of the Married to Addiction podcast. This episode is called How to Set One Micro Boundary This Week. And I will tell you before I begin here that there is a thunderstorm getting ready to come into my city. And so it's already starting with thunder and rain. And you may hear some of that in the background. So I hope you find it relaxing and not annoying. Anyway, as I said, today's episode is called How to Set One Micro Boundary This Week. So if you have ever felt overwhelmed by the idea of setting boundaries in your relationship with your alcoholic husband, or maybe you've tried it before and it didn't really go so well, then today's episode is just for you. So we're going to talk about just one small thing, how to set a micro boundary this week. So it's not a whole list of things to do. It's not a big confrontation that you need to worry about. It's just one small, manageable step to help you move forward gently and in a way that honors your heart and your healing. So let's start by talking about what a micro boundary even is. Sometimes when we hear the word boundary, it can feel big, scary, confrontational, like I said, like we're going to have to sit someone down and have a really hard talk with them, right? Is that kind of how you viewed it before? And while sometimes boundaries do require a conversation, they don't always have to look that way, and all boundaries won't look that way. So a micro boundary is a small, quiet act of self-respect. That's a different reframe for you, right? It's basically a limit that you set not to control someone else, which I know you've heard me talk about before, but to protect your own heart, your own peace, and your own energy. It can be something as simple as choosing not to respond to a text when you're too emotionally depleted, or deciding to sleep in a separate room if your husband's been drinking. It's basically about giving yourself permission to say, this is not okay for me right now. When we're living with someone who struggles with addiction, boundaries can feel nearly impossible sometimes. So you may have tried them before and been ignored. Or maybe you are afraid of the backlash because there has been a confrontation previously. You're not alone in that if you have experienced those things. And I even felt a lot of that back when my husband was addicted. I think most of us who are in this situation do. But that's exactly why we're talking about micro boundaries today, because small boundaries are a way to start honoring yourself without feeling like you have to kind of turn everything upside down. They build confidence, they create clarity, and they start to restore that deep part of you that's been trying so hard to just survive. And I want you to know this really helped me, so I'm going to say it to you too. Even Jesus set boundaries. Thinking about the fact that Jesus had boundaries and thinking about the fact that not everyone liked Jesus has really helped me in my own life when I struggle with those types of things. So yeah, he had boundaries. He stepped away from the crowds when he needed to. He withdrew to rest when he felt like he needed some rest. He didn't let everyone have access to his time and energy all the time. So you have permission to do that too. You have permission to protect yourself too. So let's walk through a few questions that can help you identify a micro boundary that you might need and can use sometime in, let's say, the next week or so, the next few days. You might either want to grab a journal to work through this, or maybe just kind of sit and reflect in your mind and your heart. The first thing you can think of is, when in my day do I feel the most drained, the most maybe disrespected, or the most anxious? Is it when your spouse starts texting you after you know he's been drinking? Is it when you are cleaning up messes that aren't yours, messes that he left because he was drinking? Maybe when he breaks a promise to you. When in your day do you feel the most drained, anxious, etc.? The second question that you can ask yourself to think about a micro boundary you might be able to implement is, what's one small way that I could protect myself in that moment? So you've identified the time and the triggers, essentially. What's a small way that you could protect yourself when that happens? Could it be maybe turning your phone off or on Do Not Disturb after 9 p.m. when you know those texts might start rolling in? Could it be to not engage in arguments or maybe even conversations while alcohol is being used? Could it be to take yourself for a short walk or take your dog for a short walk to clear your head instead of getting sucked into the chaos and starting to spiral? And then the third question that you can ask yourself is, what fear comes up when I think about setting a boundary like this? So we get so afraid of fear. We don't want to feel fear. Fear feels scary, but naming your fears is part of your healing process. So maybe your fear is that he'll be angry or that things will get worse. I want to gently remind you that setting a micro boundary, or even a boundary in general, does not require a declaration. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to say, I'm turning my phone off after 9 p.m. because I know you're going to try to text me after you've been drinking and it's going to make me mad. You don't have to say that. You don't have to declare it. You don't have to even mention it. You can just do it quietly and think of it as an act of love toward yourself. It's something you're doing to take care of yourself. Reframing it in that way, I think, can really help a lot. So what does it look like to actually set this micro boundary? So you've used the questions, you've thought about what a good micro boundary might be for your situation, and you've identified, what it would look like, what it would sound like for you. So now what? Let's talk about a quick and easy 3-step process you can use to enact your micro boundary. I'm sure y'all can hear the rain now. It is pouring outside, so hopefully I don't lose power while I'm doing this. 3-step process you can use to enact your micro boundary. So first, I want you to write it down or speak it out loud to yourself. So, for example, I'm choosing not to respond to late night texts that come in after my husband starts drinking. The second thing you can do is pray about it. Ask God for courage, peace, and clarity around this micro boundary. So, something like, Lord, help me to honor myself in this way. Help me protect the peace that you've given me, or that I know you will give me. Give me wisdom and the grace to do this in love, that type of thing. And then the third thing is just follow through one time. So this week, when the moment comes where that situation does happen, so it's after 9 o'clock and he is texting you and he knows, he's been drinking, lovingly follow through on that micro boundary. Again, you don't have to explain it. You don't have to argue about it, and don't overthink it. Just do it. If it doesn't go perfectly, that's okay. If you just can't take it and you take your phone off of do not disturb because you just have to see what he is going to say, first of all, that's going to destroy your peace, which is the opposite of what we're trying to do here. So that's going to be a learning experience, right? But growth doesn't require perfection, and sometimes those things are going to happen. Sometimes you definitely are going to have a situation where you told yourself you were going to do something and then you do it differently, but that's okay. We are just trying to have the willingness to move forward and do things differently going forward. I know that doing something like creating boundaries, even micro boundaries, isn't easy, and it might feel strange at first. It might feel uncomfortable. And also because I know you've probably been doing things the same way for a long time, and just the idea of doing anything differently might feel uncomfortable or risky. But I want to remind you that you are worthy of peace. You are worthy of rest. You are worthy of protecting the heart that God gave you. And the beautiful thing is, when you set even the smallest boundary, you are sending a message to yourself that says, I matter. My peace matters. My well-being matters. And that is incredibly powerful. So what is your micro boundary this week? Write it down. Keep it tucked into your heart. And remember, you are not doing this alone. There are hundreds, thousands, probably even millions of us out there who are walking this same path. And I am always here for you as well. Now, if you find that beginning to have boundaries actually feels freeing and empowering, spoiler alert, it will. Once you start, having little micro boundaries, even, you're going to be like, wow, I feel so much better after I did that. If you find that and you want to continue on the boundaries journey, then I'd love to invite you to take the next step by checking out my boundaries mini course. This is a quick and easy to consume course on boundaries that is available online on demand. You can find the link in the show notes, or you can just head to my website, marriedtoaddiction.com. Look at the drop down that says programs and offerings, and you will find it there. So if you're ready to take the next step with boundaries, that is a great option for you. It is written specifically for the wife of an alcoholic. Remember that you are seen, you are loved, you are not alone. And as always, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Hey, one more quick thing before I let you go today. Do you follow Married to Addiction on either Instagram or Facebook, or both? If not, I would love to have you join me over there. It's a great place to stay connected with everything that's happening with Married to Addiction. I post updates about my podcast episodes, of course. I post about my freebies. I post about my programs. I post encouragement in the way of Bible verses and things like that. I also post just like some helpful little teaching nuggets sometimes too. So I really think that you would get a lot of value out of that as the wife of an alcoholic, and I would love to have you join me on either Facebook or Instagram, or both. You can find me at facebook.com/marriedtoaddiction, or just at marriedtoaddiction on Instagram. I hope to see you there.